Okay, so the concept that I decided to use for my second concept was one of the most recent concepts that we did go over in class, which was using responsible language. This felt really relevant to me because I have been able to reflect a lot lately and realize how much wording affects conflict and communication. I've also been working on taking more accountability instead of blaming um, like others as much. So this really was a good concept for me personally because it's something that I am working on already and it's very easy to apply in my opinion. Um, so basically, I explained this to my partner by saying that responsible language is about taking ownership instead of placing blame. Um, Also, I gave an example that we can use, like, basically, we can show this by instead of saying things like you always or um, blaming, um, I am trying to use more I feel statements and being more direct about what I need. And an example or moment when this happened was basically he had mentioned wanting to come over um, this past week, and he had got off work early, and he had said something about wanting to come over, and basically he didn't or was disappointed because I didn't invite him, which led to me getting frustrated because I felt like he should have just asked to come over instead of being disappointed that I didn't invite him. And at first, I do admit that I did shut down out of frustration, but once I processed what I was feeling and pushed myself to use responsible language, I was able to just tell him basically that when he said he didn't want to come over because I didn't invite him, I did feel frustrated and that I think I assumed that if he wanted to come over, that he would just ask. So I also let him know that when he seemed disappointed, it made me feel like I had done something wrong, and that wasn't my intention. I also let him know that I'd prefer if he'd just tell me that he'd like to come over next time so that it is clear instead of leaving me just guessing or to assume. I was surprised on how easily things were resolved whenever we did use this form or I used this form of communication, and also just how much of a relief it felt to be able to clearly communicate like my feelings and my needs without anyone getting defensive. I'm also noticing that my first response is often to shut down or withdraw. Um, However, after I process my feelings, I usually re-engage and try to communicate more clearly. And then another thing I noticed was that we both rely a lot on unspoken expectations, and sometimes that creates unnecessary frustrations when we should just be able to verbalize our expectations. And then that way we're able to resolve things and communicate more clearly. And then lastly, overall, I'm just adjusting my approach by shifting from indirect communication and silent frustration to clear requests and more responsible communication, and also having emotional responsibility. So I will be using more accountable I language and a lot less you language to reduce the blame being on him or on others.